Erev Tov, Baruchim Aba'im, welcome. Friday evening services, Bethel Congregation in Baltimore. Those joining us live for services tonight here in the Berman Rubin Sanctuary, those joining us online this evening, welcome as well. Shabbat Shalom, beginning Kabbalat Shabbat services, calling pages from Sidur Chadash, and we'll start on page 12 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh Av Harachaman Mishavtecha El Ritzonecha Yarutz Avtecha Hoya Yishtachaveh El Mul Adorecha Teramo Yedidutecha Minofetzu Bechotam Yadanai 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 Yadanai
Of the Kabbalat Shabbat service is a series of 6 psalms representing the 6 days of the week, leading us into Shabbat. First of those 6 psalms, the 95th, on page 22 and 23. Page 24, 25.
I
97th Psalm, page 2627.
Or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishrei lev simcha. 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 Yirira, 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 yara, ra, ra, yara, yirira, 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 ara, yara, ra, ra, ra. Yirira, 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 yara, ra, 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 yirira, 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 yara, ra, 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 ra. Simchu tzadikim ba'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim ba'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Yirira, 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 yara, ra, 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 yirira, 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 yara, ra, 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 ra. Yirira, 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 yara, ra, 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 yirira, 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 yara, yara, ra, ra, ra.
Page 2829.
Zameru l'Adonai v'chinor v'kol zimra. Try that with us. Zameru l'Adonai v'chinor v'chinor v'kol zimra v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai v'chinor 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 v'kol zimra.
On page 30, Roma Mu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu le'har kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu
Kabbalat Shabbat is the 29th on page 3435.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Building a musical bridge from Kabbalat Shabbat to Ma'ariv services, beginning with song.
This one's easy. All you have to do is sing back what I sing to you. How sweet it is, to come together, and sing a song, in the praise of God. Inemato Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Your Hebrew is excellent. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Umevorach.
Pause now to remember with reverence yard sites of our beloved departed observed until sundown this evening, first day of Adar Sheni, second month of Adar. Sylvan Askin, Dina Bank, Lazarus Book, Philip C. Cohen, Joel I. Coonan, Carol Ann Denick, Rita Helen Goldman, Monty Herbert Goodman, Herman Human, Stanley Hornstein, Samuel Jacobs, Sidney Kagner, Patsy Lander, Joseph Rabinowitz, Inez Rosenberg, Rachel Schemmer, Stella Terbaski, Gertrude Wallenstein, and Dr. Irving M. Weiner. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May their righteous memories continue to bring blessing into all of our lives. Saying together to that, Amen.
Amen.
Solemn testimony to that unbroken chain of faith that links generations one to the next. Those in mourning or observing yard site, will you please rise? Text of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 124. 124. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala v'izman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbah
mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha borichu. Leila minko birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'imruma v'ya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
May be seated, turning back in our prayer books to page 38, singing together Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Shamol v'zachol b'dibur echad, ishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, leshem u'letiferet v'litehila. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha. Merosh mikerem netzucha, sof maseh b'makshava tehila. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzi mitokafecha. Rav לשבת בעמק הבכה, והוא יקמול עלייך נמלה. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. We rise and face the entrance for Lecha dodi's final verse. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam simcha uv'tzohala. Tokemone am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla.
Pause now, offering condolences of the congregation to members of our community who have been bereaved during the past week. This week to the family of the late Neil Samuel Berlin. Bottom of page 41, joining together traditional Friday evening greeting for mourners. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch sha'ar avelei Zion v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One who comforts Israel grant you solace in your bereavement. Let's remain standing, turning together to the Baruch Hu, page 50.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach leolam va'ed.
You may be seated, and on page 51, continuing with responsive reading. Page 51.
Ma'ariv Aravim, Lord of night and day. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the dusk of evening.
Wisdom opens the gates of dawn, your understanding regulates time and seasons.
The stars above follow their appointed rounds in response to your divine will.
You create day and night, you alternate darkness and light.
You remove the day and bring on the night. You separate one from the other.
We call you Lord of heavenly hosts, you are our living God.
May you rule over us, you rule over nature, as you rule over nature. Praised are you, O Lord, who brings the evening dusk.
Amen.
Umavir yom umevilayla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai Tzebaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimlok Aleinu Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Alavim. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amkavta, Torah u'mitzvot חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ועותק ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha u'vlachtecha b'derech u'vshochbecha u'vkumecha. Ukshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtabtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. May be seated, continuing page 56, 57.
והיה אם שמוע תשמעו למצוותיי.
And on page 57, middle of the page, reading together. Therefore, keep these words of mine in your heart and in your soul. Bind them as a sign upon your arm, and let them be a reminder above your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down at night and when you rise up in the morning. Write them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Thus your days and the days of your children will be multiplied on the land, which the Lord promised to your ancestors for as long as the heavens remain over the earth. Shema's third paragraph, page 58, 59.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Toward the middle of page 60.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל, לקנו שירה ושמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם. כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, תורה תהילות עושה פלא, תורה תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה, זה ליאנו ואמרו, זה ליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
to page 63, and we'll continue again with responses.
Help us, O God, to lie down in peace, but teach us that peace means more than quiet. Grant us the peace that comes from honest dealing, so that no fear of discovery will haunt our sleep. Liberate us from enslaving habits which disturb us and give us no rest. May we so live that we can face the world with serenity and with grace. May we lie down in peace at night and awaken tomorrow to a richer and fuller life.
Amen.
ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. יתגדל ויתקדש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. איש ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה קירותי ימליך מלכותי, וכיכון וביום יכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, עגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. ישמר אברהם ברק לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קודשא בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו amen.
Evening Amidah for Shabbos begins on page 69 and is recited quietly. Quiet prayer. page 74.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata melech adon לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון, לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
May be seated, continuing on page 80.
La 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 la. ויקולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויקל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, יבוא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. לה 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 לה. יבוא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, עולה שמיים וארץ. מגן אבות בדברו, מקיים מתים במאמרו. האל הקדוש אין כמוהו, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו. יבם רצה להניח להם, יבם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד מעין הברכות. אל Adon HaShalom, Mekadesh HaShabbat, Umebarek Shevi, Umeniach V'Kedusha, Ve'amed U'Shnei Oneg, Zecher L'Maseh, L'Maseh Bereshit. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemed Haba, Almani v'dakirote v'amnik malchute v'kayechon v'yavechon v'kayechon v'Yisrael v'agalav v'zman kari v'immeru. Amen. Yehesh meravam mevarak le'olam ulal me'almaya. Yitvarak v'yishtabak v'yitva v'yitva v'yitnaseh v'yitadah v'yitalev v'yitala shemed kudisha v'rekol el amin kol birkata v'shirata tushbekata v'nekamata damiran v'alma v'yimeru. Amen. Titkabal tzalot hon uvad kol Yisrael katav v'hon v'shamay v'yimeru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba v'shamay v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav u'yaseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen.
Turn together in our prayer books to page 90, text of the Friday night Kiddush. Rise together. Those who are joining us services from your homes, I would encourage you to pour a libation of your choice. Joining in the Kiddush, again, it's page 90.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shavat kadsho v'yavat ratzon kinchi lanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'mitzirat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shavat kodshecha yavahu ratzon hinkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
You enjoy that.
It is so nice to see you all. It really is. To see a lot of people back in the sanctuary, to know that there are people that are with us virtually, to see some real faces and smiles. It is so nice. Shabbat Shalom. That was better. This is better. This is better. It was just supposed to be a 16-year-old birthday party. That's all it was really intended to be. It was a really nice family that was hosting, and they invited, I don't know, somewhere around probably 30, 40 people. The details I'm not particularly sure about. So the friends originally came over and they started having that nice celebration of their friend's life, and it was all going really well until some more people came. Some more people came, but they were also friends, a little bit more tangential. But they joined in the celebrations of the party, and a little while later, some other people came.
Some of them were friends. They had also had some people join in the party that just heard that there was a party going on. So as you can probably imagine, if you were ever a high schooler or have high schoolers, things didn't go really well from there. The people that had joined the party because they were just looking for a party started to make things difficult, and soon one of them was throwing punches. The kids that were there, invited guests of the party, I think it took them a little while to know even what was going on, because this was not something that ever happens at their parties, and it was not anything that they expected. And so I think they had to sort of let it enter into their minds what was happening right in front of their eyes, and then it was sort of too late and they had to move, and so they tried to, but the boy had already taken some punches. I'm not sure exactly what happened after that, because the person who told me the story was actually somewhat traumatized by it. But the boy who had taken the punches went to leave the party, and the guy who threw the punches decided to follow him out. He was outside, and some of the uninvited guests surrounded him, and then they decided that it would be really amusing if they made him get down on his knees and beg for forgiveness, to say, "I'm sorry." I still am not really sure what would have been worse, taking the physical hits or being instructed to get down on your knees and say you're sorry, to beg for forgiveness. When I heard the story, I couldn't help but think about the story of Purim that we're about to tell. The story of Purim actually is remarkably similar at one point, because do you remember the evil Haman? What gets him all bent out of shape is that Mordecai refuses to bow down to him. In many ways, Haman is saying, like, you get down on your knees and you tell me what I want to hear. And Mordecai refuses. He simply refuses, and he's willing to suffer the consequences. In the world that we live in today, it's hard not to feel compassion and empathy for what it feels like to be bullied and to be scared and to feel helpless, whether it's at a party or whether it's looking at the news. It's hard to know what to do when someone else is being hurt, bullied, intimidated, or their lives are in danger. We all hope that we would jump to help. But what happens when you can't, when you're too far, when you're not sure how to help? It seems that all leaders and all people ultimately have to be held accountable, though, for their actions, whether it's at a party or whether it's in their leadership of a country. And in this week's Torah portion, Parshat Pekudei, we get to the end of the book of Exodus. And it's a really amazing thing because, as you know, we've been reading about the details of the Mishkan week after week after week after week, and finally we're at the end. And so what happens at the end, in the very last parsha of the book, it says basically these are the records of the tabernacle which were drawn up at Moshe's bidding. And then it goes on to say, all the gold that was used for the work in all the work of the sanctuary, it came to 29 talents and 730 shekels. The silver of the community came to 100 talents and 1,775 shekels. And then it tells you how much silver was collected and how much gold was collected and how much copper was collected. And it lists out all of the details of the gifts that were given as contributions for the construction of the Mishkan. Now, why do you think that we even have this in the Torah portion? We already know what was brought. Well, it tells us at the very beginning that this was Moshe's bidding, right? Moshe requested this accounting be done at the end of the construction project. Moshe himself wanted it to be counted. How much silver, how much gold, how many supplies were taken in. So the question is, why? Did the people really not trust Moses? Was Moses afraid that they would think that he had stolen something from their contributions? So actually, the Midrash tells us that actually it was Moshe's concern that the people might think that he skimmed a little bit from the gifts that were brought. And so what's actually super interesting to me is that it says in the Midrash that leaders of a community must be above any suspicion that they had personal gain. And this is what it says in the Midrash, that the person who prepared the incense for the temple, that person never let his family wear perfume. It is funny. And then it says that the person who was in charge of accounting for the shekels that everyone was bringing in the half-shekel campaign, everyone was bringing forth their shekelim. What they said is the person that was counting the shekel, they had special clothing that they had to wear that didn't have any pockets. God forbid, right? Someone actually thought maybe they took some of those shekels. The idea that we're supposed to learn from this is that every person, even if you're a leader, especially if you're a leader, should be accountable and should be aware that they have to please people as much as they have to please God. So I want to bring this back for just a moment. And I want to share with you a moment of this parsha in Moshe. Because in many ways what Moshe knew was what all leaders of our world need to know and what all people need to know, which is that we all need to be accountable for each other, for ourselves, and for the world that we create. This week in the Ukraine, I can't even imagine the horrors that the Ukrainians feel. I really can't imagine men and the role that they're playing in picking up their weapons and taking to the streets. I can't imagine what it must feel like to be a mom, trying to protect your children, trying to protect yourself. There's so much that I can't imagine. But most importantly, what I hope for is that the people of Ukraine will have the courage that Mordechai had to stand up to a dangerous, dangerous man and leader, and that the rest of the leaders of our world will have the courage to do what Esther did and what Mordechai did in saying, this isn't okay, and together we will rise, and together we will fight out evil. Soon it will be Purim, and we will celebrate, and I hope we will stomp our feet, and we will think of all of those leaders who have been taken down with evil intentions because of the destruction that they bring upon people in the world. May we all have the faith and the hope to do what we can right now, to give, to pray. And may we also, please God, see a day where we can stomp our feet and think of all leaders and know that ultimately good will prevail over evil. Please God, may the people of Ukraine be safe. And Shabbat Shalom.
We all know that history tends to repeat itself. I was doing a series of Yiddish concerts this week, and in one of the songs, there were pictures being shown On the back wall, the song was written during the Holocaust, and there are pictures being shown of mothers with their children struggling to escape their ruined homes and their destroyed lives. And all I can think of was, this is what's happening right now in Ukraine. Those of you who picked up a sheet coming in, there are little sheets that have the translation of this poem and also a little bit about it. This is called, it's a lullaby, and it's called Mach zu die Egelech, close your little eyes. Mach zu die Egelech, wat kommen fegelech, in Kreisen do aro, zu Koppens von Weinweg, das Päckel in der Hand, das Haus in Asch und Brand. Wir losen sich, mein Kind, suchen Glück. Die Welt hat Gott vermacht, in Untum ist Nacht, sie wart auf uns, mit Scheuder und mit Schreck, wir stehen beide da, in schwere, schwere Schau, und wissen nicht, wohin sie führt der Weg. Men hat uns nacket bloß vergnügt von unser Haus in Finsternis, getrieben uns in Feld, in Sturm, Hagelwind, hat uns begleit, mein Kind. Begleit uns in dem Abgrund von der Welt.
We rise and turn to page 118 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגואל עלינו ככל עמונה. משתקעים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו השמיים ממעל ושכינת עוזו וגם הם מרוממים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו ככתוב בתורתו ידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
Page 120.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We pause at this time in our service to remember with reverence the yardsites of our beloved departed that are observed on the second day of Adar Bet, the second month of Adar. Blanche Bronfein, Ina Feldman, Abraham Fram, Mignon Fryman, Charles Glass, Mr. Henry Handler, Elsie Harrison, Frida Horowitz, Murray Klassman, Herbert Sidney Mayton, Reuben Pinsick, Myron Reichel, Nathan Israel Silverman, Abraham W. Summers, and Norma Linda Saraski. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may their memories always be a blessing in all of our lives. And will those people who are in a period of mourning or observing a yahrzeit please rise and join me in the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish, which you can find on page 124. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'v'chayei zechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimaru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach le'olamo me'ol maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Wishing for you all beautiful memories. Our announcements for this Shabbat. I'd like to announce that our morning services will be at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We will have our Torah study, which will remain on Zoom while our services are here in person. And tomorrow evening services will be at 6 p.m. Sunday morning services, as always, are at 9:15 and Sunday evening at 5:30. And we wish for everyone a Shabbat Shalom. We turn now to Shalom Aleichem, which will be our closing prayer.
Shalom Aleichem, Malekei Hasharet, Malekei Elyon, Bimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem leshalom, Malekei Hashalom, Malekei Elyon, Bimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malekei Hashalom, Malekei Elyon, Bimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem leshalom, Malekei Hashalom, Malekei Elyon, Bimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.